Good morning and welcome to the Chester County Marketing Group On-Air Show, a bi-weekly internet webcast of 10 to 30 minutes in length in which we share our tips, tricks, and expertise for internet marketing. My name is Carla Wilson, owner of Wilson Media Services, and today I'm joined by my colleague.
Hi, I'm Jeff Tincher, owner of 610 Digital and the founder of the Chester County Marketing Group.
Thanks, Jeff. And what we like to do is, again, share some expertise, help you streamline your marketing efforts for small businesses. We are based in the Chester County region of suburban Philadelphia, but of course our show is open for all viewers. If you are watching our show on YouTube, please feel free to click the yellow graphic below the video player, and that will navigate you over to our event page where we have a Q&A panel. You are welcome to enter any questions during the show, and Jeff and I will do our best to follow the conversation and answer your questions. So today, what we wanted to cover for you was how to use and create fast video for your small business marketing. So what I wanted to start with, as you can imagine, as someone who offers podcast production and video production and editing services, I've given a talk about using video in small businesses, several times over the last 3 or 4 years. So I'll just give you a quick overview of what I'm going to review today. Of course, we'll talk about the W's, the why, what, where, when, and how of creating video for your online marketing. Hey Jeff, can you think of any questions just off the top of your head?
For what we're doing, yeah. So, why are we going to be using video marketing, and what are some of the big reasons of why a company out there or an individual might want to look to produce a video, maybe a video testimonial, video intro about them, or a video about their product. So it's, but let's hit on all of those areas as well, because there's going to be different people and different folks out there that have different needs for video, and maybe we can spark some ideas or really clarify to them what they're doing. Because I do know that video is used extensively. When it comes to that, I know you've always said that there's like 4 billion views on YouTube a day of people, or users, are just watching videos. I think it's actually up to 6 billion. I just saw a guy talk about something yesterday. So that's a lot of people looking at video and content. It's one of the best search engines for video. It's owned by Google, so you rank high for your video when it comes to search engine optimization, having the video out there. It's also a great way of having content to put into your blog or share on social media. So those are some of the perks of using a video, but I know you're going to talk about the why, the what, the where, and we kind of just gave an overview of that, but you can definitely elaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit on a couple of really good points there, Jeff. As you mentioned, YouTube is the second largest search engine. It's owned by Google. As you said, it is up to like 6 billion views. And actually, I have to keep going back to the YouTube statistics because the numbers keep changing and have changed so drastically over the last couple of years. Here's another really interesting stat. 100 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every minute. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
When I first started giving this kind of presentation, I think that number was 36 hours of video, and we were like, wow, are you kidding? And then it jumped to 48, and then it jumped to 60, and then it jumped to 75, and now it's up to 100 hours per minute. So that's just something to keep in mind, that it is a powerful tool. It is a powerful tool. The other thing to keep in mind about using video in your small business marketing is that Google and their search engines, when your website or your blog has digital media, whether it's video or audio, those types of posts are given more good Google juice, I guess is the word I want to use. So anytime your blog or website has more digital media, you're going to rank higher in the search engine results. So that's something to keep in mind. One of my other previous presentations, I was trying to find some updated numbers, but I couldn't. But as of a few years ago, inbound marketing So anytime you have people coming to you, coming into your website, you are not reaching out, for instance, with cold calls, or you're not reaching out with direct marketing. You are directing people back to your website. So it's inbound marketing. Those types of marketing efforts are about 60% less expensive than traditional marketing efforts. So, you know, again, another good reason why use video in your marketing.
So, why don't we talk now about what the types of videos we should create? You know, I kind of hinted on, you know, introduction videos if you're a, you know, public speaker. Maybe you have a product to demonstrate. Maybe you offer a service. Are you a plumber? Maybe show some like little, you know, a clip of how to actually repair something that's super easy that a homeowner could probably end up doing. You know, something like that. So again, let's hear your take on the what types of video people could actually create.
Yeah, Jeff, you, again, hit on some really good suggestions there. The first suggestion I always make to folks is if you have a website, have some type of welcome to my website video, or hi, my name is, and explain to people who you are. Basically your 30-second elevator speech, so that, you know, of course, it's better to be able to connect with someone in person, but if you're able to post a video, people can see your face, people can understand how you communicate, how you talk. It helps you to build rapport. So that's always one of the first suggestions I make, is to make a, you know, maybe a 2-minute welcome to my website video. That's always the first suggestion. Another, Jeff, you mentioned, is a product or maybe a how-to demonstration. This could be anything from a screencast video, which is something where you are maneuvering the mouse around within a piece of software to give somebody a demonstration, or you are taking live action video. Maybe you are a plumber and you are showing someone how to change out a gasket on their faucet, or you are, one of my clients owns a shrink wrapping company, so he is constantly shrink wrapping very large things, you know, buildings, right, and trains and helicopters, and so that they make really good video content. It's just very interesting to see someone at work. So that's always a good thing to consider. You know, even, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't say, how about, you know, a marketing discussion like we have bi-weekly. You know, that's another example of how to share your expertise, and it's fast to create, especially with Google Plus Hangouts on Air. You know, I have to shout out to Google Plus there.
Right. No, these are actually really good, and plus it builds a library up for us. So for anyone who's watching this one, you can always go back and now watch our old ones at chescomarketing.com/onair.
Yes.
Or find us on YouTube, and we'll have a list of all of these little short, little 10 to 20 minute tidbits of information just like this. So again, as Carla said, it's really a good way to build up a library as you're producing and putting stuff out in educational pieces, or, you know, a series of events or something that you're doing. It's a really good tool.
Exactly, exactly. So let me see some other examples of video you could create. You could take a slide deck from a presentation that you made, record audio, and then marry those two files together to create a video. So that means you don't even have to be on the screen. Mm-hmm. So if being on the screen makes you nervous, then, you know, try one of these other suggestions. You may also want to create, instead of just an audio podcast, a video podcast. I guess on some levels, this Chester County Marketing Group On Air show could be considered a video podcast if we had, you know, submitted our feed link to iTunes. This could become easily a video podcast that you find on iTunes. So, you know, again, just many different areas for you to be using video, and taking advantage of a new avenue of people to, you know, to absorb your content. So let's see. So where should you use this type of video? So I think Jeff mentioned earlier, you definitely want something on your website or your blog, and that's something I always tout as well. I mean, that is your real estate on the web. Yes, it's great. You're definitely going to be pushing these files out, these videos out on your social networks, but who owns Facebook? Facebook owns Facebook. Who owns Twitter? Twitter owns Twitter. But who owns your website? You do. You know, make sure that you are taking care of your real estate, and make sure you're using that to promote yourself. So that's always the first suggestion, is your website or blog.
Sure.
Of course. So what other avenues do we have, Jeff?
You know, for producing these out there, I mean, we hit all the main ones, of course. You know, but using them also so if you do have some videos built up, maybe you start a email marketing campaign that when new people sign up, more like a small business automation. You know, you can use things on MailChimp or maybe Constant Contact, and you can have an autoresponder. I know in MailChimp you can. That could start to drip these emails out over maybe 2-3 weeks of time. So if you had a video talking about your service that you offer or a product that you offer, maybe that would be something after someone comes in and subscribes to your email list, they get the welcome email, you know, 10 days down the path after they subscribe, they'll get an email with, you know, let's say the video, or maybe it's 2 weeks later they'll get one with a white paper or something else. So you want to incorporate that video in there to bring them back to your site, to have them watch that video, because that's what's going to help them understand who you are, put a face to the product, put a face to the service, especially for people who own a like a brick and mortar store, or, you know, getting a clientele understanding who you are and what you do is really going to help build that trust up in the beginning. So that's, I think, you know, is a great way of using video as well. It's just people think, well, I can't really send it in a video, in an email. But you can talk about it, and you could automate that piece to send that out. You know, putting it on YouTube is great, but also then embedding it back on your website, like you said, that's even more powerful because it keeps people on your website and builds up, you know, the search juice and all the other things when it comes to that, giving you video on there. So with all of that being said, we know the what, the why, and then the where, but how do we actually get these videos, and what's like a production cycle? And, you know, is it really intensive for some people, or is it going to be something that they could just easily do, you know, in a couple hours time as a start? Or, you know, what is the whole level of expertise that someone would need?
Well, what I always try to say to folks is, you know, take it, you know, try not to overthink it. I definitely have, you know, a plan of what you do, of what you want to do. So the plan that I follow, there's kind of a pre-production stage where I'm making a plan of what I want that end result to be. I want it to be about 2 minutes in length. I want it to, maybe I want to showcase, you know, some of the slides from a presentation I made. So really have kind of a plan about either what you're going to talk about or what the video is going to include. You know, if you are creating something more involved, then maybe you should create some storyboards to help give you, which are basically just kind of drawings or ideas about how you want the video to proceed, to move along. Your next step in that production cycle, after you've done some pre-production, some planning, is recording. Now, I have done gigs for clients where I use this camera. This is a Kodak. I think it's now called a PlayTouch, but this official version is the Kodak ZI-8. And what I especially like about this camera is that, if you can see, if I have it correct there, this is an external microphone input. So, and then I buy this $20 wired microphone. Let me see if I can put that down quietly. It has a mini input, so that goes right in the side of the camera, and this is a lapel mic, so this clips right on your lapel, right on the collar of your shirt, and it gives you great audio without relying on the built-in microphone of the camera. Of course, everybody's got a smartphone. Definitely consider using your smartphone video. It's if you have it, use the equipment you have. That's typically the first thing I say when you're thinking about recording video. Don't go out and spend hundreds of dollars. You know, either start very simple. Start with that introduction video, or start with that quick how-to video, and, you know, just use the tools that you have already to capture the video. And yes, try to get really good audio. Yes, make sure you have really good lighting. That will make the quality, that will step up the quality of the video, and it will make editing it easier for you. So then once you've recorded the video content, the next step in that process is basically transferring, getting those files off of whatever device you recorded it on into your video software. So typically what I do with the Kodak camera in particular, it has an SD card, that memory card on which the video content's saved. So luckily my laptop has an SD card reader, so I just pull the SD card out of the camera, put it into my computer, and then I can access it. I do admit that it can be a little more tedious with an iPhone, trying to get the video from your phone off into something where you can grab it and grab that file. But that's really the next step, is just deciding, you know, are you going to use, a lot of my clients, if they have me editing something, they'll, you know, give me access to a Dropbox folder where they have the video. So you need to get the video content from the camera somewhere, so then you can then import it into your editing software. So then that's the next step in our process, and that's editing. Even YouTube itself, understand that YouTube itself has some editing tools for you, where you can upload your video file, you can trim the beginning and the ends, you can add a couple of annotations, maybe your website address or some kind of call to action, all within YouTube. That is no cost to you other than time and getting that video file uploaded there. So understand that that YouTube has its own editing software. A lot of times if you have some type of camera, it will have built-in software. These days I am using Adobe Premiere Pro, but there's also Final Cut, Camtasia I've used in the past. I hear Sony Vegas is fantastic. You even have iMovie on Macs, and you have Windows Movie Maker on Windows machines that are built in and free to you to use. And again, it's simple kind of editing, but again, you want to start simple anyway. So really, mostly what you're going to be doing is maybe trimming the beginning and the ends of a video, and maybe bringing two videos together and putting some kind of transition there, like fading from one to the other. So you're not doing anything where you're creating some kind of commercial for television. So just, you know, use something that's going to be easy for you.
Yeah, well, so with editing, I mean, and that's one difference between what we're doing now with this live broadcast. Like, we can't go back. We're not getting the video file. We could go back and think we can trim it with inside of YouTube, but we're not getting an actual file that we can download and then put into Adobe Premiere Pro. What are some advantages of being allowed to do those editing? I know from a fact that, you know, when we get talking, sometimes we mess things up, or we say the wrong thing, or we do some different things, or, you know, the lighting's not good, or it's a bad, you know, bad with technology for the Hangouts. It'd be nice if we can go back and redo that. But so, you know, is the editing important for the most part, and it makes you look more professional in the end? Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say that the editing portion obviously gives you more control over the final look. You and I, Jeff, with these Google Plus Hangouts on Air, we have to do a lot more on the pre-production side. We have to make sure that the lighting's right, we have to make sure our microphones are working, we have to make sure that we just got everything set up, and we have a script, and we have a plan.
Exactly.
With the editing, you know, if you screw up something, and you say, okay, well, let's retake that part, and you retake it, and so then you're only using, maybe, you know, maybe it took you 3 hours to capture video, but you're really trying to cut that down to something that's, you know, much shorter, 5 minutes long. So you just have control over pulling portions of what you recorded and then using that in whatever your final editing video is going to look like. So after you've edited it and you're satisfied, then the best thing to do, of course, at a minimum, load it up to YouTube, load it up to Vimeo. Those are, you know, free hosting services, because understand that video files are very large, and if you were just to simply upload that video file to your website, I am certain to tell you that you do not have enough bandwidth on your website, because if you have a lot of people viewing that and trying to view the video, it's really going to slow your website down. So as Jeff suggested earlier, load those videos up to YouTube and Vimeo. Let them host the video for you, and then embed that video code onto your website. Right. You know, that's really the best way to handle that. And then you can just push that link out in your newsletters, on social media, you know, in emails, those kinds of things. So then, the last step that I always like to talk about in this production cycle, well, I guess it's, at that point after you're done hosting and posting, you're kind of done with the whole production cycle, but then the next step I feel in the process is called repurposing. And this is where I kind of referred to this a little bit earlier. You're taking a slide deck and you're adding, some kind of voiceover audio file with that to create a video. Or you're extracting, think about this. Maybe you're extracting just the audio portion of a video, and now you have an audio-only version of whatever you recorded. So maybe you're going to make a podcast out of that audio-only version. Maybe you're going to take a really long video, and by really long, I mean 30 minutes, and you're going to break it up into a 5-part video series. Just think about how to reuse what you already have so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think that's one thing that's very intimidating for people. The biggest intimidation is they don't want to be on camera. So what kind of video can they produce if they're not going to be on camera? And then number 2, oh my God, yes, I want to do video, but this means I've got to come up with brand new content. No, you don't. You just kind of go back to the content you already have, whether it's a blog post that you can use as a script to create a video, or create something from, again, a presentation you already did, and now you're going to make a video version of it. So that's always something that I like to suggest to folks as well.
Cool. I think those are great, yes, because like you said, do not reinvent the wheel. Continually use things in different means. And one other big thing that we speak about in some of the other broadcasts is, just because you put your video out and you promote it on, social media this week, if the video is still relevant, come back in a couple weeks, 3 weeks later, and say, hey, you know what? Remember the video I did? Well, here's another follow-up to that. Or let's just go back and resend it out on Twitter or LinkedIn and see if people are there, because people aren't always looking at those social media things at the time that we post. So we want to make sure we're hitting people at different times. Maybe throw it on a weekend. Maybe someone has more time to watch something on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Repurpose that content throughout as long as it stays relevant, and if it doesn't, you could always talk back to it. So I think that was great. It was a really good overview here of of video content for small business marketing. How do people get started? I mean, really, are there, like yourself, you offer this as a service, and we talked about them going out and being able to start on their own if they wanted to. So any thoughts about that as we close up here?
Yeah, I think one thing, and I'm just sitting here looking at the Hangout on Air screen, and I forgot to kind of go through what happens with this, because as you and I have found, Jeff, Google Plus Hangouts on Air is the fastest way to create and post and produce video. This is the fastest production cycle ever. We log into Google Plus, we set up an event, we hit start, we hit broadcast. Yep. It live streams on our YouTube channel or anywhere we put an embed code. When we are done, we hit stop. It automatically archives to our YouTube channel. So look how many steps we just skipped. How easy was that? Right. So that's something. This is definitely a great place to start. If you have a Google account, you already have a Google Plus account. You just need to go in, set up some settings on your Google Plus account, and you have access to creating your own videos just like we do here on our on-air show. So that would be a perfect place to start if you don't want to try and figure out how to shoot video on your camera and get it off and worry about some kind of editing software. Consider Hangouts on Air. It is an amazing tool. The next thing I wanted to suggest, I almost forgot to suggest this. This is a book by CC Chapman and Mark Yoshimoto Nemcoff. It's called 100 Steps to Making Videos Like a Pro. I got this on Amazon for $6.
Oh, that's good. That's a good deal.
$6, yes. And I think that there's a Kindle version that's a few dollars less. So
sure. Yeah, I've followed CC on a lot of his stuff, so
yeah,
it's a pretty decent book out there as well.
Absolutely. So again, and it's look, it's not that thick.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, let me put myself back up here. It's not that thick. You can read it in an hour. It gives you great tools. In fact, I dog-eared a couple of pages because I do not profess to be a video guru. I have gurus that I go to. I am some people's video guru, but then I have video gurus that I go to if I have questions. And there were several pages in here that I dog-eared just that are going to give me some great tips for helping me produce video for my clients too. So that's a great book. We'll definitely have links to the camera, the microphone, the book, like things for you to get started. So I hope that this presentation was helpful. What do you think, Jeff?
I think it was great. A little side note, funny tidbit. One thing here with the Google Plus Hangout is if you're watching, I can turn my camera off much like this, and my profile picture will show up there.
Correct.
And this is just a little, I'll say this is a little tip, a little takeaway here. For those of you who have cats.
I know what you're going to say.
Carlos knows me. I have been putting my camera on like that or pushing my arm away because my cat's on the table here with me, and I don't want it walking in front of the camera. So, you know, maybe lock the cat up, something, or just let him free range, a free range video cat.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things when you're filming from your home or your home office. Those are things you have to take into consideration. Other courtesy is to mute and silence your mobile device. You know, make sure there aren't going to be something that kicks on in the background, especially when you're live streaming like this. If you're doing it where the cat walks across and you're going to film it on a video camera, you can cut that piece out, or you can leave it in for a little bit of humor.
Yeah.
But again, that's just one of those little quick tidbits and takeaway, and I've been pushing her off for like 3 or 4 times here. So, and I know your cat jumped up once before, like a long time ago. Boom.
Yeah, just jumped up and, she hit the microphone, so it sounded really loud, but it was just her bumping in the microphone.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't follow her already, you should follow Mia Voss on G+, MIAVOSS. She actually has a G+ profile set up for her cat, Bob Voss.
Okay, very cool.
She's very open when she does her Hangouts on air. Bob sometimes comes in for a visit. I guess it just kind of depends on the, what kind of feel you want for your video. Right. I mean, we're kind of, we're cat people. We're proud of it. So
yeah, we're just laid back here, and we're giving out information, and hopefully, you learn something from these things. And that's one thing that some people may not ever think about. Like, I'm doing this, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the cat, and you're like, wow, now what do we do now?
Yeah.
So it startles you a bit. So you always want to take into consideration of those things, the cell phones, the different devices. But I think this was a lot of great information, and we do these shows every 2 weeks, and our next one is going to be on email marketing for the small business in terms of list segmentation. And list segmenting is where you may have a list of 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 10,000 people, whatever your list size is, and you trim that down into smaller subsets of the group so you're sending the right content to those people at the right time. Okay? You don't want to send it out to the 10,000 people for a product that 9,000 may not want and only 1,000 do. So send it to the 1,000 so that way you don't get unsubscribes and people to complain and things like that. So that's what we're going to talk about, is the email marketing with segmentation and looking in at some analytics specifically on MailChimp, and we can probably still open up a Constant Contact and look inside of that one and can kind of compare them to as best as we can. Okay,
exactly.
So that'll be our next one, and that was going to be in 2 weeks from today. It's June
12th.
June 12th, and 10 a.m. And we'll put it all out there. And again, if someone has any questions and you're watching this on a recorded broadcast, feel free to tweet us at Chesco Marketing. Also, feel free to leave questions on either the YouTube video or over on the actual Google Plus event that we had set up, and we'll look at those and get back to them. Because maybe you say, hey, I have a 30-minute video. Should I put the whole thing up there, or should I segment it, as Carlos said, into smaller chunks? So there are reasons why you might want to do that, and there's some reasons why you may just say, I'm going to go with a full 30-minute. So again, just thank you all for watching, and Carla, do you have any last words?
No, thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you following our YouTube channel and giving us great suggestions about what future shows should be. Yeah, feel free to watch our episodes, as Jeff mentioned earlier, at chescomarketing.com/onair. You'll see an archive of all of our previous episodes. So thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Okay, thank you.